Cathie Wood's Space Exploration ETF. Imagine a future where internet connectivity doesn't have weak spots, where you order an item online and a drone delivers it to your house within a couple of hours. Even crazier, imagine a time when you can select between calling an Uber that drives on the road and one which flies through the air. Whether it's SpaceX pioneering the reusable rocket, or Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic offering people the ability to go to space, in recent years, there has been a shockwave of excitement in the investing world, as what was once science fiction is growing increasingly realistic. Recently, Cathie Wood announced that she plans to launch the ARK Space Exploration ETF, which will have the ticker symbol ARKX. So in this video, I'm going to break down everything that we know about it so far, from the opportunity that she sees in the market to the companies that she might pick as part of her latest investment opportunity. Hi and welcome back. My name is Tom Heavey. I hope you're doing well. Let's get into it. But first, if you live in the US, Webull are currently offering this crazy deal right now. Open an account with them and you'll receive 2 free stocks worth between $5 and $500. Deposit $100 into your account and you'll receive another 2 free stocks, this time worth between $16 and $3,200. In total, that's 4 free stocks worth a minimum of $21 and a maximum of $3,700. All you have to do to claim your 4 free stocks is to use the link in the description below. Right, let's get into it. 2020 was a tough year for many industries, with investments in infrastructure especially taking a hit. However, investment in space companies still hit a record for the industry of $8.9 billion. Part of the reason for such excitement is because the space industry has the ability to affect so many different industries, from aerospace and defense to IT hardware, and arguably the most important is the telecom sector. Morgan Stanley estimate the satellite broadband will represent 50% of the projected growth of the global space economy by 2040, and as much as 70% in the most bullish scenario. The demand for data is growing at an exponential rate, while the cost of accessing space is falling by orders of magnitude. As of today, a whopping 40% of the world still do not have internet access. Part of this comes from a lack of access to mobile phones, but another part comes from relying on outdated infrastructure in developing nations. In this sense, the opportunity is quite simple. If companies can send satellites into space and provide internet access to the currently underconnected part of the world, there will be a huge boost to these local economies, and much of this value is then going to flow back to the companies providing the solution. And this all goes back to a rule that Cathie Wood and her team at ARK Invest use to time their investments. It's called Wright's Law. Wright's Law says that for every cumulative doubling of units produced, costs will fall by a constant percentage. Or said in human terms, as we produce more of something, such as rockets or satellites, we become more efficient at producing them. As a result, it becomes cheaper. And this is so important because there are so many technologies out there which may someday change the world, but they are just too expensive to be adopted today. Cathie uses Wright's Law to determine when the costs have fallen, so the technology is ready to disrupt not just in the future, but very soon. So with Cathie diving into space exploration today, this tells us that she believes that the costs have fallen enough to a level where the industry is now ready for explosive growth. This is backed up by Morgan Stanley, who share that they think reusable rockets and the mass production of satellites will rapidly drive down costs. Currently, the cost to launch a satellite has declined to about $60 million from $200 million via reusable rockets, with the potential to drop as low as $5 million. And satellite mass production could decrease that cost from $500 million per satellite to just $500,000. And the opportunity extends beyond just satellites and space. Even though Cathie Wood's ETF will be called the ARK Space Exploration ETF, there are actually 4 categories that a team at ARK Invest will be focused on. The first will be orbital space companies. This is what we briefly touched on with companies that operate in the field of launching satellites into space. The second category will be suborbital aerospace companies. This includes things like drones, air taxis, and electric aviation vehicles. So think more flying above us in the sky, less actual space. The third category is in enabling technology companies. These are companies that facilitate the space industry to grow, so it could be into artificial intelligence, robotics, 3D printing, materials, and energy storage. And finally, the fourth category is in aerospace beneficiary companies. These are companies that stand to benefit from aerospace activities such as agriculture, internet access, GPS, construction, and imaging companies. While Cathie and her team haven't released much information about this ETF yet, they have given us some insight with their focus in the past. Specifically, they have previously penned this article discussing how hypersonic flight could evolve into a $270 billion market. Hypersonic flight basically represents the ability to fly really quickly, far exceeding speeds that traditional planes fly at. While traditional planes might travel at around, say, 500 miles per hour on a long-haul flight, hypersonic flights would be in excess of Mach 5, or closer to around 4,500 miles per hour. ARK believes that this could be well suited to private passengers traveling on long-haul flights. If hypersonic travel becomes a reality for private passengers, a typical 15 to 16 hour flight from New York to Japan could drop to as low as 2 to 3 hours. Using the typical extra cost that private passengers are happy to pay, this could scale into an industry with yearly revenue of $270 billion. So, as we can see, investments into space-related companies have been growing in recent years, hitting new heights of $8.9 billion in 2020, and that's in spite of a tough year for raising money due to some pretty obvious reasons globally. With the growing use of reusable rockets, something which most people previously thought was impossible, costs of sending equipment into space are falling dramatically. And the cost to manufacture satellites is falling too. As these costs come down, adoption becomes more and more realistic, and the opportunity for investment clearly grows. So, with this in mind, let's talk about a few companies that Cathie may choose to include as part of ARK's Space Exploration ETF. But first, I just want to say that this is not financial advice, nor am I a financial advisor. You must do your own due diligence and research. Also, consider this for a second. Cathie invests in pioneering technology, and while this can offer the highest return, it also comes with the highest risk. I mean, in this video, I'm literally talking about space travel. Hopefully it should be pretty obvious that these companies are very high risk and as a result might be volatile. Like I often say, I am a big fan of Cathie Wood, but I'm an even bigger fan of diversification. So with all of that said, let's talk about the first potential company. As of this video, what we know is that Cathie's investments will be into publicly traded companies. As a result, that likely rules out the very first company which comes to mind, SpaceX. SpaceX is run by Elon Musk, and Cathie has very close ties with Musk, as Tesla is a large part of many of ARK's ETFs. Therefore, an investment into Musk's space company, the same company which pioneered the reusable rocket, it seems like an obvious choice. However, currently SpaceX is a privately held company, which means that its shares don't trade on the stock market. Unless Cathie can find an indirect way to invest in the company, it seems likely that SpaceX simply won't make the cut in this ETF. Tesla. While Tesla might not be directly involved in space exploration, there is an indirect link. In their press release, Cathie mentioned energy storage as an area that they could look to invest into, as the pioneers in this field will be indirectly supporting one of the key functions required for space exploration. While some traditional investors might just think of Tesla as a car company, the truth is they are working very hard on energy storage as a key part of their business. In order to increase how far their cars can travel on a single charge, Tesla are pioneers in the energy storage industry. As an example, there may be significant overlap between these developments and the ability for aeroplane developers to build fully electric planes. Therefore, Cathie may invest in Tesla, the company which has performed so well for her already. However, I'm personally hoping that she doesn't. The majority of our ETFs already contain Tesla, so it would be just really good to see another ETF, along with the genomic one, which offers exposure to companies without being heavily weighted towards Tesla. Another company that Cathie may consider is Maxar Technologies. Maxar Technologies are focused mostly on orbital aerospace. That includes building next-generation propulsion systems which allow travel outside of low Earth orbit and into the deeper reaches of space. Maxar builds spacecrafts working with numerous organizations and over 50 governments worldwide. They design robotics which can operate on and explore other planets such as Mars. A key part of Maxar's business lies in their satellites, which are at the heart of increasing connectivity across the globe, powering everything from smartphones to smart homes and devices connected to the Internet of Things. As we talked about earlier, while there are many opportunities related to space, analysts believe that increasing connectivity across the globe is where the majority of the opportunity may be in the coming decades. Maxar also provide imaging services through the use of their satellites. That can span everything from helping us to navigate using maps on our phone, to providing the military with essential visual data, and using artificial intelligence to spot global trends as they emerge. On a slightly worse note for the company, however, SiriusXM's latest satellite, built by Maxar and launched by SpaceX, recently suffered failure in orbit, and a SiriusXM spokesperson recently said that the cause of failure was not related to the SpaceX launch of the satellite. However, there has been some cause for optimism in recent times, as Dr. Heather Wilson was recently appointed to serve on the board. Wilson is a former US Air Force Secretary. From 1998 to 2009, she served in the US House of Representatives, where she chaired the House Intelligence Subcommittee on Technical and Tactical Intelligence. And as Maxar CEO Dan Jablonski points out, Wilson's deep understanding of the national security and intelligence communities makes her an ideal choice. As part of ARK's ETF, Cathie may turn to Virgin Galactic. We know she is a fan of the company already, as she holds them in ARK's Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF. At 12th position in that ETF, the company makes up just under 3% of the fund's holdings. Virgin Galactic are mostly known as a spaceflight company, offering very rich customers the ability to travel into space. However, as noted, the real value behind Richard Branson's space tourism venture lies in the potential of Virgin Galactic to disrupt the multi-trillion-dollar airline industry by offering ultra-fast flights around the world. Despite officially being a space tourism company, Virgin is, at its core, a travel business. With that in mind, the company could build itself a moat of being the only travel company that offers hypersonic, point-to-point air travel. So this goes back to what we discussed earlier. ARK haven't shared many thoughts publicly on the space sector, but they have penned an article discussing the $270 billion revenue per year opportunity that hypersonic air travel could present. Well, with Virgin Atlantic already well established in the airline industry, it's not exactly a big leap to imagine how Virgin Galactic could play their part in potential disruption. There was also positive news recently, as the company announced that they will redo their spaceflight test as early as February 13th. In spite of this though, Morgan Stanley analyst Adam Jonas recently said that Morgan Stanley struggled to justify the current price on space tourism alone, noting that investors should balance their excitement and momentum around 2021 milestones and the need to grow into the current valuation over time. They've also cut their forecasted number of 2021 flights down from 30 to 4, which would bring their revenue forecast down from $50 million to $7 million. However, Jonas does still see strength in the stocks long term, saying that they don't believe demand for Virgin Galactic's space travel experience will be a problem. The bigger challenge will be scaling the technology from prototype to high turnaround spaceships. Another company that Cathie may turn to are Iridium. Over a decade-long mission, Iridium launched 66 satellites into low Earth orbit around 780 kilometers from Earth. With each satellite linked up to 4 others, Iridium has created a dynamic network that ensures global connection where traditional networks may lose their coverage. The global constellation is also supported by an extensive ground infrastructure that ensures high reliability and capacity through multiple layers of redundancy. However, it's not just about the network. Iridium also create devices that integrate into that network, such as Iridium Edge Pro, which can provide global tracking of items such as machinery. Iridium Global Line of Sight supports industries such as remote package delivery, autonomous traffic management, and wildlife monitoring. And through their use of their land solutions, regular people like you or me can turn our regular smartphone into a satellite phone and maintain connectivity across the entire globe. Now, at the time I'm recording this, Cathie and her team at ARK haven't told us much. We can only speculate on which companies they may include and begin researching these companies more for ourselves. However, to give you some actionable steps along with researching these companies that we've discussed, you can also take a look into the 2 space ETFs in existence today. The Procure Space ETF with the hilarious ticker symbol of UFO and the Spider S&P Kensho Final Frontiers ETF with a ticker symbol of ROKT. If you want to stay up to date as more information about Cathie Wood's Space Exploration ETF is released, I'll be sharing more video updates in the future. So make sure you are subscribed if you don't want to miss them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you a fan of space exploration? Do you think the timing is just right now? Or do you think that it's still early and it's just an idea which sounds cool but it's not quite ready yet? Subscribe if you don't want to miss the next update. Thank you for watching. I will see you again very soon.